Hi, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. This is where you can be inspired, learn new techniques, and pick up some new tips and tricks. Get started by subscribing and clicking on the bell. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Well, I did a haul video not too long ago from CutCardStock, which I am a design team member of, but I had gone and purchased a bunch of things from them primarily because I need to mass produce a number of thank you cards. And I decided to do little bitty ones. These are going to be 3x3 cards once this cardstock is folded. It's already pre-scored when it arrives, so it makes it very easy. Now I need to make 14 sets of 6 cards, so I wanted to make this as easy and quick as possible. I went ahead and ordered this cardstock and had it cut in 3 3/4 size squares for me. This is a beautiful cardstock. It's Royal Sundance felt brilliant white. It's an 80-pound cover weight, so it's quite sturdy, and it has a beautiful finish on it as well. So by having these cut for me already, I'm just saving some time and my cutting blades from getting dull on that heavier paper. And what I did is I went ahead and ordered 2 sets of 50 cards with matching envelopes. These cards turned out great, and let's show you how I did it. So as you can see on my desk here, I've been working on my watercolor swatches on my small cardstock pieces. This is, as you remember from seeing this before, this is CutCardStock. It's cut 2 3/4 inch square. It's Royal Sundance brilliant white felt. And the felt is just the type of surface to this. It has a dimpled look, very much like watercolor paper, although it's not really watercolor paper. However, it will hold the watercoloring I need to do for this simple project. Now, I didn't have a pink watercolor, so I'm making my own. I'm taking some Vicky Bouton cream type watercolor in white, and then I'm adding a little bit of powdered watercolor to make it the pink color. So this is red mixed with white, obviously makes pink. Doesn't take very much. You see that tiny, really little tiny amount of the powder it's very intense, so it's all I need. You'll see I just add some water. I didn't even bother with clean water because I'm working with the pink, so big deal. Just adds a little bit more color to that water as far as I'm concerned, so no worries there. I'm just taking a number 10 water brush, which is a pretty big brush, and making sure that the powdered color gets mixed in well with the white cream watercolor, and kind of add enough water to get both the consistency and the color I want. Just remember, with watercolor, it's always brighter when it's wet than when it dries, so even though it looks pretty bright Pepto-Bismol here, it's going to dry much pinker, or lighter, sorry. So I'm just randomly applying this onto my squares. It's very organic. I'm not trying to do anything structured really. I got in a pattern though of starting in the middle of my little cardstock and then brushing up and then brushing down. I'm going corner to corner basically to get a swirly effect. And that's it. That's all I do for all 84 of these cards. All right, I'm moving on now. I'm going to do the stamping, and I've got an older Stampin' Up set here. And I've picked an image. It is a pig. Aha, see why I have the pink watercolor now. Yes, so Tickled Pink is what it's going to say as the main thank you card image. I'm going to use Black Onyx VersaFine. It's just a nice stark black, which looks great on the pink. And I'm using my Rocker Blocker stamping block. I chose that rather than a plain acrylic block because if I don't use a stamp press, this is a good alternative for me. I've had this for years, and I guess I'm used to using it. It's from Crafter's Companion, and they still sell them, of course, but the idea here is that you rock it across. They're a little bit arched, so you just rock it across, and it gives the same even pressure across the whole image, which I like that better than the plain acrylic block because I just don't get as good an impression that way. I'm not very good at even pressure, I guess. So here's another one. You'll see how I just start and rock it across, and that's all I need to do. It's all done. All right, so I'm going to do then now all 84 of the cards just like this, and then I can move on. So I'm at the point now I'm going to start stamping the interior, and I'm going to use my Misty for this. And this is the card again, gray. That'll go great with the pink. Now this is a stamping tip I got to share with you because it's a game changer. This product is called Sticky Grid Sheet from Sizzix, and it replaces your magnets in your Misty. There is a piece of paper that's got grid printed on both sides, and it has removable adhesive on both sides. So what you do is you peel off one of the release papers on the one side and stick it to your mouse pad, and then you peel off the other release paper, and what that does is leave a sticky surface. Now this will make it so your paper sticks to that and you don't have to mess with magnets. It's fantastic. And I learned this from Hedgehog Hollow, but you can find them online. They're again Sizzix sticky grid sheets. There's 5 in a pack, and I can use one pack for months, or one sheet for months. They're very economical. So anyway, so I'm going to put this in so that the divot part is going to be what's folded, and that bumpy part is going to be on the inside. That's typically how you fold a card, where the bumpy side is inside and the divot is on the outside of the card, or outside of your fold. I'm going to use a stamp set. It's from Lawn Fawn, and it's for actually the reveal wheel, but I'm just going to use one that's real small, and it says many thanks. So it's kind of a perfect size for this tiny little card. And I have a few reveal wheel stamp sets. I just keep them both in the same package like that, or 2 at a time, so I can keep track of them. And then I'm going to use my Zero ruler here from Tim Holtz. This is a fantastic ruler. I use it constantly. It really helps me make sure my stamping is centered and straight. So I can put this many thanks stamp at the 0 mark in the middle of that cardstock paper, and I can also use it to make sure I'm pretty straight. I'll get very close anyway. And once I feel that that's in the right place, I can take my ruler away, which I promise I will do eventually. It takes me a while sometimes to feel comfortable with everything. And then I'm just going to measure on each side just to make sure that my eyes aren't deceiving me, and it does look like it's extremely close to being perfectly centered. It may be just like less than 1/8 of an inch off, but I'm not going to worry about that. And then I thought it looked just a hair bit crooked, so I fixed that. And then I'm going to be ready to start stamping. Now you can see now how well that cardstock sticks to that grid. So as long as the grid is in the right place and you don't move that around, I just kind of push it in the corner. But you can also put some tape in the back to hold it in. I've done that too. But I've just gotten used to it, so I just make sure that I push it all the way in the corner in the bottom every time. So I'm going to stamp this with a small dewdrop from Memento in Tuxedo Black. I'm just picking that dewdrop size because a big stamp pad would get rather messy. It would, when I tried to stamp this little sentiment, it's going to get all over my MISTI plate, so it's just neater to do that. Now this is a new sticky grid sheet, so it's a little bit sticky. I'm just going to use my spatula to get it off, and after I've used it a few times, it will come off real easy, but yet still hold really well. And by the way, it does not tear. Now I'm just pointing out here that that bumpy divot is going to be on the top side or the right side when I'm stamping my interior message. That's just my guideline to know that I'm stamping on the inside of the card and not what will be the outside of the card. And that's it. I'm just going to do 84 more of these, and I'll finish up and come back for the next step. So I thought it'd be nice if I would put a little stamp on the back of the envelope flap. So I'm going to use a dewdrop in Angel Pink for this, and I just have a simple flower stamp that fits kind of nicely in the point of that envelope, and I'm going to stamp it there. And this won't take very long, and I'll get all of the envelopes done. And you can see that just adds a special little touch to the envelopes. I thought it would be nice. I didn't plan on really doing this, but I decided to anyway. Well, alright, I'm getting very close to getting this finished up now. So here are my dried panels and stamped, ready to go. And I've got some of the card bases here as well. So to start, I'm going to just fold each card, and I'll use a bone folder for that to get a nice crease. And then I will take my panel with the pig on it and use an ATG gun adhesive, because that adhesive goes a long way and it's fairly inexpensive for the amount that you get per roll. And I'm going to apply this around all 4 edges of the panel. Don't need it in the middle, because with this small size, that's all that's required are the edges. And then it's a matter of just eyeballing it and getting that panel fairly centered on the card base. And essentially, once that's done, the card is ready to go. Now these cards are done, but one last thing I'm going to do is just put a label on the back of each of them, and the labels are just made with an Avery label template, and it says made for you by Janet. It's got SugarShine Designs at blogspot.com, so it's my blog address, and that way I figure if someone wants to look me up and see how their cards were made, they can do so. And I'm showing here how I'm going to tuck each envelope inside the card so you can see the cute little flower, and I'll put all 6 like these and then put them in a pile and put them in my packaging, which I'll show you next. The first step for my packaging is I'm going to create some medallions that are going to act as seals, and I'm using the Royal Sundance felt cardstock again for that, and I'm going to cut it on the shorter 8.5 inch side at 2.5 inches because my medallion is 2 inches. So I'm prepping the cardstock here for the stamping essentially. So then I will cut that strip of 8.5 into 5 inches, and that will leave the 3.5 inch on the other side. And this is what I'm going to use to make 3 medallions. So I'll do that again, just cut it 2.5 inches, and then I'll have a little bit of leftover cardstock there I'll put back as for sentiments or something. Cutting it again at 5, and there I go, I've got enough to make 6 medallions, and I'll just do this for the 14 that I eventually need to have ready. So here I'm applying my 5-inch strip in there, and I've got a stamp set up already to go ahead and stamp with Memento Toffee Crunch ink. And then this is from a very old stamp set from Close to My Heart. So, but I like to use my stash, so you know. Hopefully you do too. You might have this set. But anyway, I'm going to stamp this actually twice because it's going to be a little bit grainy looking. One reason is because the paper has dimples in it, so it's not going to get a solid impression on the entire surface. But secondly, because Memento ink is dye-based, and the dye-based ink looks a little bit fuzzy when it's wet, but as it dries it smooths out and it gets really pretty. So it may look a little bit funky here, but I like the end result. You can see that dried on the left. So I like that. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is just simply flip my cardstock around and stamp the other side. So you see why I have the 5-inch piece. I can do 2 stamps without having to move any stamp in my MISTI. And I will just have a little bit of waste left over. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the last piece, which is a little bit bigger, it was 3.5 instead of 2.5, I will get 1 stamp impression out of that. So that's how we'll stamp all 14 of the stamps I need to do. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in a 2-inch circle punch, and I'm going to hold on to it. So you see that waist on the right is kind of needed because I have to hold on to my piece in order to get it centered in the middle of the circle. So I will get that where I need it to be, and then press it down and stamp out that circle, and then I can put in the larger piece. Remember, this is the 5-inch piece, so I've got the extra cardstock on the right to hold on to for centering, and then flip it over, and I've got another little bit of cardstock to hold on to, and this way I can do 3 of them pretty quickly, pretty consistently, and I like how easy that really is. Okay, so I have a small gift bag here. It's opaque glassine, so it's kind of shiny and it has a nice smooth texture. And after I put the cards in, I'm going to fold this over, and then I'm going to work on what I'm going to use for the closure, which is some washi tape. I've got some very pretty glitter washi tape here in a sunflower pattern. This is from Eyelet Outlet. I'm going to cut a piece that's about 3/4 of the width of the bag. And then I'm going to work on creating a dovetail end on one side, or one end. And I do that by eyeballing a slit for the center and then cutting from one corner to that slit and then from the other corner to the slit. And that is what's going to create the dovetail shape. And it's not perfect, but it's close enough, and it looks great on this closure. Now what I like about using washi tape for this is that you can keep it shut, the bag, but you can open it easily and you won't tear the paper because it's a low tack tape, obviously. And you can do this multiple times and it will still secure itself pretty well, even after opening and shutting it several times. So I think that's great. Now I could have just left it there, but this is where I'm going to put the medallions on with a little thanks. I'm going to include a card as well, another little pig card in the package when I mail it, but I just thought this was a nice little touch to the packaging. So you can see I can put that there. I use the art glitter glue because I find the wet glue is really what's needed in order to secure that well. After it dries, it will not move. So there you go. That's the package that I'm going to be making. So here are 12 of my packages. I did 2 earlier, so I just needed to do 12 of these right now. So here's what it'll look like when my recipient opens the baggie. They'll see their cards, and when they open it up, they'll see the sentiment. And when they close and turn it over, you can see the cute little flower on the back of that envelope. So I think overall these will have a really nice presentation to my recipients, and they will feel like they got something special. And I really love how the packaging looks. I didn't have enough to do all these packages, so I did use some traditional glassine bags that you can see through, and I put it so that cards could be seen on the back side, but I used the same closure and they look great too. So all in all, these are ready now to go off to the mail. Thanks for visiting with me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you receive notices of any future videos that I put out. Also, just to keep you entertained, here's a few more other videos that I think you might like. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Bye.